every culture has staple food. Every culture has, something that if anybody walked by it, they could tell you which culture that comes from. Black people are no different. But a lot of the foods that we eat are very slave based, and very slave based, because basically a lot of our cuisine were remnants of what slave masters ate. They would give us what was left over or what wasn't delectable in their eyes, and we would make something out of nothing. But now it's 2012, and a lot of us are still eating that way for various reasons. One of the reasons is that we've always eaten this way. Mom, dad, grandma, granddad ate this way. We grew up on this. Okay, that's true. And there's nothing wrong with being cultural, and there's nothing wrong with having cultural meal. But when you have it on your table every night as your staple meal, and it is directly affecting your health, then you may need to reevaluate how you eat and just kind of, look at that as a whole. Because some of the questions you need to ask: well, did grandma and grandpa, mom or dad, do they have high blood pressure, diabetes? Do they have cancer, or have they had a stroke or a heart attack before? These are things you need to kind of evaluate, because just because they ate that way, it does not mean it was the best, especially in the old days, because that's kind of all they had. So you need to kind of look at, well, yeah, we all ate that way, but everybody in the family has high blood pressure now, or everyone in the family has diabetes now. So those are just some things that you kind of need to look at. Also, when it comes to, if you want to use the argument of foods that our grandparents ate, their foods were totally different. When they planted, when you had fresh vegetables out of the garden, it was just that, fresh vegetables out of the garden. Maybe had a little manure for fertilizer and some water, and some seeds, and that was it for the most part. Nowadays, foods, vegetables full of pesticides, and anything else you can imagine. When it came to meats, animals were given real food, given corn, they were given wheat, they were given hay, they were given barley, they were given real food. Nowadays, it's no telling what they're giving animals, because the supply and demand is so much, you have to deal with the whole concept of how are we going to get this animal to grow. Most animals take about 9 months to a year before they're declared fully grown. So if you're trying to have a cow that you can milk, and you're trying to have chickens that lay a bunch of eggs, and you're trying to have cows that you can slaughter, what are you going to do? A lot of companies now, they add antibiotics, because when you have animals in close quarters, if one gets sick, you don't want the others to get sick. They feed them antibiotics. They feed them hormones, because they want them to mature faster, so they can send them to slaughter faster, or they're able to milk them, or they can give you multiple eggs, or they can start doing whatever process they need them to do faster. So they're given any type of food to eat. They're given hormones. They're given antibiotics, steroids. All of these things help speed up the maturity process, or speed up the quantities for this mass production. So technically, no, you're not eating the way your grandparents ate, because your grandparents ate authentic, real meat, whereas now we're eating meat and chemicals and antibiotics, which is medicine, and steroids and all this other kind of stuff as well. Now you have the topic of organic. A lot of people say organic's too expensive. I'll give you that. Organic can be a little pricey, especially in certain areas. A lot of times organic is also viewed as being something that white people eat. Only white people eat organic. Well, even if that's the case, it wouldn't be something bad to look into, because my philosophy on organic, nothing's going to be 100% pure that grows in the ground, just because you have the whole condensation effect, you have runoff. But with organic food, it is about as healthy, because at least with a lot of organic food you can guarantee there is no hormones added, there are no steroids, there are no antibiotics. So even if you get environmental hazards, you're not getting concentrated man-made chemical efforts that's being added. Let's see. Exercise. I was just looking at the time, see how much time I had left on my clock. All right, so exercise. A lot of black people are not interested in exercise. Now, I will say, with these shows like The Biggest Loser, Celebrity Fit Club, there has been a lot of peak interest when you, especially with new exercises like Zumba that have really blown up and taken the forefront. There has been a lot more interest that is peaked. But in general, overall, in the past 20, 30 years, black people really have not seen exercise as being something for us. We've seen it as something white people do. Now, that doesn't mean we're not active. We'll dance and, we'll move around, but we will not go to the gym like our white counterparts. And I actually used to work at a gym. So when I say this, I'm like, okay, I see way more other cultures coming in to work out than black people. I mean, even for some of the classes like yoga, low impact, cardio, doing old fashioned aerobics, you really didn't see a lot of darker faces in the crowd. So that's something we need to do. Some people say black women won't sweat their hair out. We won't go swimming, or we won't do high impact aerobics because we don't want to sweat our hair out. And in some instances that is true. We will spend 50, 60, 70, 80, 100, $200 every 2 weeks on getting our hair and nails done to look good on the outside, but we tend to neglect the inside. Or if we spend that money on getting our hair done, you best believe we are not sweating it out. Now, me personally, I can care less. I get in the pool with no cap. I'll run and play outside with, little kids that I babysit. For me, hair is not an issue, but I know for a lot of women, a lot of black women especially, hair is a very big deal. And once they put that money into it, they are not messing it up for anyone. Let's see. I only have a few minutes left on the clock, so actually I'm going to wrap it up right here, and I will do a part 2 in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.